Hey mamas, it's Kristen Noel, founder of the Intuitive Divorce, and I'm popping on here right after another beautiful class. And as always, there was a lot that got unpacked. And I know that the world is noisy right now, and the world's probably gotten a lot noisier because you are either divorce curious or you're in the midst of one. I had mamas calling in today. Two of them were in airports all over the country. And, another one was heading to court. Another one had an issue with a sick pet. And you know what? They're finding ways in this noise to show up for themselves because showing up in this container where they actually can just reveal what needs to be revealed and they are seen and they are heard and they are validated and they can really just process in the messiness of whatever is going on is really critical for a mom navigating divorce with children. And while that all sounds a little bit heavy, I do want to share some really beautiful news. I had a mama just this last week who had a signed, executed agreement, settlement agreement within weeks. Yes, you heard me correctly, weeks. And before you think that's impossible and it must have been just a really uncomplicated situation, hear me when I say nothing could be farther from the truth. This was actually a high net worth divorce. This was a divorce with big assets, properties, businesses, having to deal with all the regular stuff. There was a massive home. There was child custody, all the stuff. And they managed to come to the table within sitting with my client after she sat with her attorney for 3 hours, getting very clear about what it was that she needed. She ended up coming up with a settlement agreement. Now, obviously, the agreement in itself in that first incarnation wasn't agreed to instantly, but literally within weeks of a little bit of back and forth and a little bit of civility and using her intel, this got across the finish line. Now, I also want you to hear me when I said there were a lot of complications. This wasn't a unanimous decision. Her husband did not want the divorce. So this is possible. I want you to know this is possible. It is possible to keep your divorce out of the court system. It is possible to keep your divorce from being an emotional and financial train wreck. It is possible to become the CEO of your divorce. It is possible to heal and to protect your kids and to reclaim your life. It is possible, and I see it. I see it every day. So there's a lot of mitigating circumstances. There are a lot of different scenarios, and there are a lot of reasons why this happens or this doesn't happen. And it's not the size of your bank account that determines what's going to happen here. It's you and it's your spouse. It's you, your intuition, knowing what you know about your spouse, knowing what's going to really trigger them, knowing what's the best way to approach them, knowing how you can work together and use inclusive language so that you can keep your kids out of the chaos. There's a lot that you can do. That doesn't mean that you're not going to hit potholes and roadblocks. I always like to say, if you don't have a target, if you don't put an address into your GPS, you're not going anywhere. And by the way, if you end up making a wrong turn, what happens with the GPS when you're in the car? Rerouting, rerouting, rerouting. You reroute, you pivot, but you also really mitigate the suffering for all. Do you want all your time? I mean, and this can go on for years, and you will be astounded by the legal bills. You will be astounded how much it will drain you, the toll it will take on your kids. Please, please hear me when I say there are so many things you can do, so many strategies, so many tools, so many techniques to really prevent this from happening. And today, one of the things that I was talking about, and I really wanted to hop on here and share with you, is that in this sort of obsession that I'm having with obviously helping the mamas that I coach get over the finish line in the best condition they possibly can be in and to heal as they go, I also want to help them hold themselves accountable to their divorce goals, to setting their divorce goals, to getting really clear about their divorce goals and their objectives and how they want to feel in the process. And in doing so, it starts with you. I actually encourage them today to do a three-pronged check-in every day. And the check-in is really simple. And I don't care if you have to do it in your car. I don't care if you have to do it in the shower. I don't care if you do it before you open your eyes and step out of bed. But what if you were to start each day with asking yourself three questions? And I would encourage you to close your eyes, put one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly, and take a deep breath and just ground yourself and say, how am I feeling? What am I feeling right now? When you ask that question, feel it, feel the answer. What comes up? It's like just checking in. How am I feeling? And after you have that answer, I want you to say, what am I needing in this moment? Now, in this moment is not about solving all the problems of the world and everything on your to-do list. So, for example, in number one, how am I feeling? I'm feeling anxious. Okay. So, what am I needing if I'm feeling anxious? What can I do right now to help me mitigate this, to deal with this, to interrupt this? So, how am I feeling? What am I needing? And the third one is getting really conscious about what am I committing to? What am I committing to? Am I committing to old triggering feelings and patterns that drag me down? Or am I committing to a new target? And this is a really powerful tool because this is a tool of self-awareness. So if I'm committed to breaking these old patterns of limited thinking and aiming for this new target, in this moment when I'm checking in with how am I feeling and what am I needing, is this aligned with what I'm committed to? And if it's not, reroute. These are really powerful ways to check in with yourself. It's important not to fall to the bottom of the laundry basket. You can't just get up in the morning, scoot out of bed, and start dealing with all the to-do lists without filling that cup of yours, mama. And as you build on that and you see the results of that, and you see how that allows for you to feel better in your body, feel better in your life, feel better in your family, feel better in your work, feel better in your divorce, you're going to want more of that. More, please. So I just want to leave you with that little nugget. Create a little bit of time for yourself to check in, a daily check in. I'm telling you, it's going to go a million miles, and you are worth it, and your children are worth it, and your divorce is worth it, and your future is worth it. And when I talk about your family, I'm talking about all of you, your ex included, because it all matters. So I'm just going to leave you with that today. And I just want you to know that we're here. If you want to check in with us, please check out our work at intuitivedivorce.com and make sure you're on our newsletter list because we're constantly putting out really great content. Several newsletters a week. We have an app, Intuitive Divorce. Check us out on social media. We've got programs. We've got so many ways to support you in this process. You don't need to do it alone. So take care of you, fill that cup, mama, and please check in with yourself every day. That's the least you can do.